Well, hello there, everyone. It is John C. Morley here, serial entrepreneur. It is so great to be with you guys. And yes, interesting day here. And so I want to let you guys know that we have another great show for you right here. I'm actually live on campus today at Montclair State University. The sun is actually beckoning all around me. And I'm actually at the beautiful backdrop live here at Cole Hall. For those of you who don't know, that are not a student here or have not been on campus, Cole Hall, Susan B. Cole was very instrumental here, involved, one of the past presidents. And so Cole Hall is where all the administration stuff is done. It's where you go if you have questions about registration. They call it Red Hawk Central because obviously students are Red Hawks. All right, guys, it is so great to be with all of you here today. If this is your very first time joining me on the Inspirations for Your Life show, well, I want to take the opportunity to say, basically, welcome. If you've been here many times before, I want to take the opportunity to say thank you for coming back. It's always great to have people that enjoy the quality of my content and want to keep watching and listening to the show. If you're thirsty, if you're hungry or anything like that, feel free to go grab that snack or beverage and head on back so we can start the show. Guys, incidentally, if you didn't know, well, just last week, which was April 17th, I officially became an author of Drain to Driven. And that's not going to be my last book, guys. There are going to be many more. There's a tech book coming out, I believe, in January, February next year. But this is my first book, and the book tour officially starts next month. You can learn more about that and all my other great resources by visiting BelieveMeAchieve.com. All right, guys, let's go ahead and kick this show off. Are you ready? I know I am. All right, everyone. So this is Inspirations for Your Life. Why small actions change everything. This is season 5, and right now we are on our show series 5, which means basically we are in our we're in our 5th year. We have not completed our 5th year, but we are in our 5th year, and so that means we've been on the air over basically 4 years in a row. This is, ladies and gentlemen, this is show 17. This is show 17. And again, just a lot to share with you guys. And so how people actually take control of their direction. That's the master for the week. I'm John C. Morley, serial entrepreneur, engineer, marketing specialist, video producer, podcast host, coach, keynote speaker, graduate student, passionate lifelong learner, and now proud to be a published author. I think a lot of people, when we think about these things, people get stuck in, what's going on for them. And by being stuck, I mean, like, they just don't know what to do. They get confused. And that can be a very big problem for so many different people. They want to do something, but then by the time they start to do something, it's like, I don't know, they get like sidetracked. And then every time they try to do something, it's like they can't because they're actually stuck somewhere. And again, I think those are important things to acknowledge. It's not a time to say, hey, we need to stop. I think it's just important to realize that awareness becomes really key, guys. It becomes really key. So our granular topic is what actually changes thinking. What actually changes thinking? And that's important, guys. It's a very, very important topic. And I say this to you because these are things that we live by every day, whether it's consciously or, whether it's unconsciously, but these things shape who we are in life. And I think that's a point that most people just, they don't realize, they don't understand how much their subconscious changes things. So let's think about this for just a moment. Let's think about where you are in life. Let's think about maybe where you want to go. And you might say to me, John, I want to go here, I want to go there, but I'm being blocked. And it's not the blocking of, let's say, you, it's the blocking maybe of your environment. And I think that's a very important thing to realize. It's not something to get scared of. It's something to basically acknowledge. Okay, it's something to acknowledge, and again, that's something that I believe is important for every one of us. Every one of us. Yeah, every single one of us has this ability, has this concept. And I think sometimes, we get stuck in the process of wanting to do better, but then every time we try, we don't have enough resources to finish what we can. So I want to tell you to not get discouraged by that, because that discourages so many people. It's about how we react and how we choose to apply these things in our life. I think that's probably one of the most important things that I can share with you here on the Inspiration for Your Life show is that, and right now we've got the bell. So the bell rings basically every hour. Again, we're on a live campus. We have noise, we have students, we have all kinds of stuff happening. We have bells. We could have people interrupting us. There's so many different things to think about. And so becoming aware of just where you are, where your mind's at, I think is something that so many people, for whatever reason, they just don't understand. And that's a really that's a really really big problem for so many people. And again, I tell you this not to scare you. I tell you this so that you can build that kind of momentum, so that you can go after what you want. I know there's a lot of people out there that are going to cause you to get frustrated. I know this, believe me, guys. I absolutely know this. And maybe you're saying to me, John, things are not going the way I want. They're not happening all tonight. Okay. And maybe that's something that you're working on, right this very moment. Maybe. Or maybe you're stuck because you've tried so many times and you can't seem to get the needle to move. And I've used this expression before. Um, a lot of times, many years ago, we would measure things with a needle. And when I say the needle of like a meter or something, it wasn't digital back then. And I think that's an important thing for most people to understand, is that it was not digital back then. And because it wasn't digital back then, we would be able to see if the needle was moving or if the needle wasn't moving. So I think that's an important concept. Okay. To understand. And I know a lot of you are saying, John, but I can't tell if the needle's moving. Well, I think some of it is your gut, right? Some of it is your gut, but then there's other parts of it that just sort of get in the way. And I don't say they get in the way on purpose. They get in the way because of, they get in the way because of you. Yeah, that's the truth. They get in the way because of you, and because of, ladies and gentlemen, because of your environment. And your environment, will predicate to what you become. If you're not becoming what you want to be, guys, it's time to change that environment. It's not about, doing something for just one thing. It's about doing something for a true purpose in life, a purpose that will set you further than you ever believed was possible. Now, this all happens, guys, from something we call your core values. Your core values. So your core values are how your mind and how your body is basically wired. And if you don't understand what those core values are, well, then you're going to be like, I'm going to say you're going to be up a creek, because that predicates things like what actually changes. Okay. And so people actually take control of their life but then they wonder why it's not going the right way. Maybe they're not being open to things. So today, I'm going deeper than just motivation. I'm talking about thinking, because the most people believe in what they do in their life can actually change how they decide, how they react, and how they show up and how they achieve their goals or not. It doesn't change instantly, guys. I got to tell you that right off the bat. But it takes effort. Okay, it changes through exposure, through repetition, through experience, and through what you allow into your mind every single day. Thinking follows exposure. What you see consistently becomes what you believe. Ideas don't stick, guys, because you hear them once. They stick because you encounter them repeatedly. You make them part of your life. That repetition is what begins to reshape your beliefs. And by your beliefs, I'm talking about your true inner core values. Because new input reshapes thinking slowly, not dramatically. Quietly, you begin to see things differently. And that shift in perspective changes everything. Perspective doesn't come from force, it comes from a contrast, from seeing something different than what you're used to. And when that happens, you begin to question what you once accepted, because experience always overrides theory. You don't believe what sounds right. You believe what you see and live repeatedly. You believe what you see often, not what you hear occasionally. Repetition rewires thinking. Patterns become mental defaults. Understanding builds over time, not in one moment. And awareness creates change. That could be people around us, that could be things talking, people walking. And change happens because of the environment we're in and because of the thoughts we're currently holding. All right. Remember, I told you we're on a live campus, so we could get people walking around. That's part of the jig here. Because the moment you notice something, you create the opportunity to think differently. Thinking adapts constantly, but only based on what it's exposed to. Beliefs don't change instantly, they update slowly through consistent input. New data shifts perspectives, and context changes meaning. The same idea, guys, can feel completely different depending on how it's presented. Information creates options, and the options create the decisions. And decisions shape our thinking and, of course, our belief, and that to our core values. So thinking evolves with input. If nothing new enters your mind, nothing new develops in your thinking world. Static input creates stagnation. Dynamic input creates growth. Variety expands perspective. Narrow inputs limit it. Insights build gradually, not overnight, not like the snap of a finger. You don't suddenly understand everything just because you saw it once or you heard something. You begin to see patterns, and then you recognize those patterns, and then you apply them to your life. And guess what, guys? They actually reveal the truth. Exposure reduces bias, because the more you see, the more clearly you understand, and signals become beliefs, guys. Beliefs drive behavior, and behavior reinforces thinking. This is where the cycle becomes powerful. What you think affects what you do. What you do reinforces what you think. And over time, that loop becomes, well, your identity. And thinking doesn't just influence, guys, your life, it builds it. But thinking only changes when inputs change. That's the key. Input controls our mindset. And inputs could be people, could be actions, could be things, could be the environment we're in. What you allow in determines what will develop or not in your life. And that means change doesn't start with effort. It starts with exposure. If you want to think differently, you need to see differently, hear differently, experience differently. And thus, you'll show up differently in the world. Because your mind is not fixed, it's shaped every day by everything that you choose to expose it to, whether that's consciously or subconsciously. Most people, guys, try to force new things, but they keep the same environment, the same conversations, the same content, the same patterns, and then they wonder why nothing changes. Einstein said, the definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over again and expecting different results. But nothing changes because nothing new is being introduced. Change starts with exposure, not intensity, not pressure, exposure. You don't need to push harder. You need to see more, learn more, experience more. Because once your thinking begins to shift, everything begins to flow. Your decisions change. Your actions change. Your direction changes. And here's the truth, guys, if you want to know. Most people don't understand that thinking is about the moment, but it does change permanently when you shift the moment. Because once you see something clearly, you can't unsee it. Once you understand something deeply, you don't go back to thinking the same way. So today, don't try to force new thinking. Just change what you're exposing yourself to. Ask yourself, what am I seeing every day? What am I repeating mentally? What input is shaping my mindset? Because those answers are shaping your future. If you want, ladies and gentlemen, different results, you need different input. You need different stimulus. You need different environments, different people, different conditions. If you want a different direction, you need different exposure. Because thinking doesn't change by accident or by the flip of a coin. It changes by design. And a lot of people that are not getting what they want don't realize that our life is by design. And once you understand that you stop trying to control everything around you and you start controlling what shapes you, that's when you start to enjoy life. And I think a lot of people today, when we think about insights, and I'm just, sitting here in this little park here at school, I think a lot of people walking by today, if I just kind of look at them, as I'm sitting here on this little round concrete bench, people walk. But I will tell you something. You can tell when somebody's walking intentionally. You can tell when somebody is really enjoying where they are. And I can tell you, out of just glancing here at a few people around campus, I don't really see anybody on campus that's really enjoying the moment. I see people in the hustle to get to class. I see people playing around with their iPhones or their Androids. I see some people just basically rushing to get somewhere. Looking around again, some people are walking slowly. Some people are walking very quickly. Some people are walking and noticing nature. So that's close to enjoying the moment, right? But I can tell they're not enjoying the moment because they're going so quickly. And it's the haphazardness of, just moving around. And it's really an eye-opener to just sit here and watch people as they walk by. Because, again, you can see different expressions, different emotions. You can see where people's heads are. You can see how they carry their book bag or their laptop. You can tell if someone's walking with intention. You can tell if somebody in this environment is showing up for the reasons that will make them successful. But again, just kind of watching. I see a lot of people just thumbing through their cell phones, thinking that that's all they need to do. But just looking around here, the trees, I don't think I can give you one person that's been intentional. Okay, I can give you one. There was a camera crew here before doing some work for their final, about maybe 20 minutes before I started the show, and I saw them moving their reflectors outside, for the shooting of getting the sun's light to help with their videography. And in addition to that, I could tell there was a cohesive group. Now, they were all working on this for a grade, but I could tell that group was showing up intentionally. Maybe because they had to, but I could tell that they wanted to show up. All right, they wanted to show up. Um, you know, I also see looking around campus. I see, some people looking at the foliage around. I see another person here, basically rolling a cart, which has some gear on it. Looks like he's probably a film student because I can see all the gear that's on the cart. And just looking here and just noticing for just a few moments how everyone is just showing up, but they're not doing it intentionally. They're just kind of walking. They're just kind of being part of life. And so, whether we're talking about life, we're talking about a game, you gotta show up and play with your entire heart, right? If you ever known a baseball player or a basketball player or a football player to just show up and go through the motions and not get into the game and not be psyched about winning, here's somebody that just was rolling by literally on a skateboard. And I have to say, out of all the people I've seen today, and there's been, let's say, right now campus is slow. Maybe there's probably, I've maybe observed maybe 60 or 70 people. The person on the skateboard is putting intention into what they're doing. They're being mindful of how they're steering, their mini sports board. But so many people just walking around, kind of having this very lackadaisical and very apathetic thing. Another group is coming here walking with some coffees. And so sitting down and taking the time to enjoy that coffee or that latte or whatever is enjoying the moment. But I can tell you, out of looking at all the people here, there's maybe 30, 40 people at a time. I can't pick out too many intentional people. The person with the camera gear was intentional. The kid with the skateboard was intentional. So that means, guys, there's a very low percentage of people in this world that actually are intentional with their life. You know what that means? That means they're not going to get what they want. They're going to be disappointed their whole life because they're not intentional. You might say, gee, John, what do we need to be intentional? We're on campus. Everything you do should be intentional. The way you think, the way you walk, the way you talk. Intentionality is not something you just do for the moment. It's something you do for life, right? It's kind of like a daily mental diet. Ask yourself this question. When's the last time you've been intentional? And I'm trying to notice around campus here if anybody else is intentional. And I noticed that we're getting to the end of one of the class times. So it's a little quiet right now. Again, you'll see some people look up, make sure they're not going to bump into something, but not really intentional. I saw a group of people just a few minutes ago. We have like an amphitheater, walking up to the top and exploring it and probably enjoying the outdoors. So that's maybe 4 people I've seen in just under 25 minutes that have been intentional. Intentional means that you are lining up your actions and your thoughts with your core values. We got another skater board back here. Let's get another skateboard guy. So now we're up to 5 people that are intentional. And I'm watching him, and he's kind of just controlling the skateboard, and he's kind of like, he's getting into the feel of kind of it. And he's really, basically becoming part of that skateboard. Going back and forth, taking one foot, pushing from the back, and getting on, and really having to focus because you've got to do something to be able to drive a skateboard, even ride a bike. So do this sometime. Go somewhere where it's outside and notice how many people are being intentional in their environment. And you're going to see, guys, it's not very many. It's not very many. just looking around, enjoying the foliage, enjoying the wind, noticing how right now there's another intentional group I see setting up, which was that film crew I told you about working on this project for probably their end of semester grade. And they're becoming intentional because they've got to focus on their project. So they want to shoot the best video that they can. So are they being intentional because they want to be intentional? Well, they're being intentional because they have to if they want to get a good grade. But if they were doing this for fun, would they be intentional? I'd have to say yes. Most film people, I do a lot of film. When I shoot, I'm intentional. Everything I do is intentional. Showing up, coming on camera for you. Stuff, right? That's intentionality. Ladies and gentlemen, for more insights, I invite you to visit believemeachieve.com. You see, ladies and gentlemen, your thinking changes when your input changes. And they were saying to me, John, I don't know how to change my input. It's a fair question. Show up. Be in the moment. Focus on being present. Things you see, hear, touch, taste, smell, and experience how your world around you is putting you in a certain state. Is it calmness? Is it stress? Is it curiosity? What is it? The more that we learn how to embrace our environment, to read our environment, to show up in our environment, the more that we as people can live intentional lives. And if you're serious about being intentional, I invite you to check out Drain to Driven, which you can do, by the way, guys, at believemeachieve.com, as well as my short form content, my long form content, my articles, reels, the book, and so much more. As I leave you today, I want you to understand one thing. From this moment forward, I'm intentional about everything you do. How you walk, how you talk, how you relax, how you learn. Be intentional about how you show up in the world. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm John C. Morley, serial entrepreneur. Be sure to check out BelieveMeAchieve.com for more of my amazing, of course, inspiring creations. Have a great one and be well, everyone.